Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into this week's episode of Smart Money Sundays. We're just going to go ahead and get right into it. Just a disclaimer as usual, guys. We are not financial advisors. We do not claim to be. We are not licensed. This video is strictly for educational purposes only, and it is strictly my opinions that I'm sharing. Okay, so starting off here on EU. All right, obviously we've been having a very kind of choppy price action of late and really not following any set type of trend, right? Really just kind of running internal, external liquidity, right? And that's okay. It happens like that quite often, right? We're simply engineering liquidity for another big run eventually. Right? And so nothing really has changed here, guys. We're still looking to trade higher. Ultimately, I would prefer we trade back up into this significant region of price, 103.60 area, right? End up 104, right? 103.50 into 104 would be my preferred objective before potentially running lower again, right? And so if we can dig down into kind of this daily down close candle, like a quick sell off down into the daily down close, I think we can then shoot higher, right? So really nothing has changed here, guys, on EU. We're just stuck chopping right now. All right, so be careful trying to kind of trade it within this area here, right? Because it's just not ideal. It's literally in a range. So you want to be looking to trade the external portions of the range and not trading within kind of the median of the range, right? So stay away from it. So like right now, stay away from it, right? So that's EU. Again, the objective is higher. Ultimately, if we can get a run lower first, then we'd be looking for that sell to buy up into that higher time frame premium. Okay, so that's EU. Right, GU, you know, it's somewhat similar. Correlation isn't fully in alignment at the moment, but obviously we had, because we had GBP news last week, in addition to the NFP, right? But we did have sells here. Why? Because we had equal lows. All right, so we sold it in here, caught a nice move Friday with NFP. Make sure I turn this jazz music down a little bit. Friday with NFP, right? We were looking for sells. We were in sells. We just figured that NFP would be the catalyst to push us through that sell side liquidity here. Beautiful trade. Congrats, VIP. You guys who are in VIP. I know most of you caught this move that was given out, right? So beautiful play on GU last week into this liquidity. You know, for the here and now, again, we still have kind of higher time frame objectives here. All right, I'd really like us to dig up into more premium here, right, relative to this high and this low here, treating this as a singular move on this time frame to the downside. So I'd like to get premium, right? And that POI is going to be this old low sitting above this previous high here, which I believe to be inducing liquidity. All right, so it's just a matter, really, in my opinion, of when. Really want to see that push higher, right? But if EU is going to potentially push lower first, we could potentially see this thing also make a push lower before the move higher. If not, it would be nice to, look at this as a liquidity run here and then pop higher, and then we can use something like this as our threshold for a continuation, right? But that's the ultimate objective. Really would like to dig up into here, right? And that's really the point of this episode. Every weekend is to kind of zoom out a little bit and help you get an understanding of where it is we're likely heading, right? Ultimately, I don't see this as a low necessarily in the market. So I think we'll eventually trade back down through here. At the moment, we're just kind of stair-stepping up as part of, in my opinion, a higher time frame retracement, kind of engineering some liquidity to ultimately be run out. All right, and then we'll be in nice premium to look for distribution for another potential move lower. Okay, so that is sterling. Aussie dollar. All right, nothing's really changed on this one either, guys. It's just, you know, August volatility, late July and August volatility is not strong. Oftentimes we do see a lot of just kind of ranging about, right? Not the cleanest just because of the volatility. And thankfully we had NFP, which gave us somewhat of a volatility injection to end the week last week. But it's been really kind of, you know, not our ideal wave play at the moment, right? But nothing's changed here. I ultimately want to see price achieve, right, at least up into here, if not higher into this inefficiency on AU. So, but this is going to be my objective if we're going to be looking for buys, right? So if we're looking for buys, I'd like to see us push lower, kind of like we're looking on EU, into this at least 6 hour candle. I mean, we could dig deeper kind of into this area here, right? But in a downtrend, if we retrace that far, I don't really see a need. I think we would just continue lower, right? So I'd really like to get this 6 hour candle in here, right, which traded up into this old gap in price. You can see the sensitivity, right? Supply failed, never retested, right? So really want to get down into there. I mean, you can even pull kind of a lower time frame fib, a reverse fib. Like to use that as confluence sometimes. You can see we're potentially getting that A, B, C retracement into that negative 27, 6850, really into 6820 would be that preferred discounted level to then look for accumulation to buy up into our higher time frame POI, okay, up into that 7100. Right, 7100 is going to be the target ultimately. All right, so we could see, you could see a little selling opportunity to start the week down into the POI, whereby we'll be looking for potential midweek reversals into our higher time frame POI. Okay, so that's AU, and obviously NU is going to be very similar to that, right? Very nicely correlated pairs. You can pull the reverse fib on this as well, right? Digs us down into that same type of 6 hour candle in here. It's imbalance before this strong push higher, breaking through supply. All right, so nice rebalancing act, potentially running out all of these short-term lows. Okay, equal lows right here as well. Okay, equal lows. So lots of liquidity that I believe will draw price, right? Will magnetize price. So we get a push higher, start the week, look for sells down into all of this liquidity, down into this inefficiency here, coming in around 6180, 6150, guys. 6180, 6150 is going to be the objective. And we want to see, obviously, accumulation on the lower time frame to sell to buy and the potential continuation higher. Right? I believe trading up into premium, looking at this as one leg here, right? One leg on the higher time frame. So we haven't really gotten a significant retracement into premium yet. Right, so I think that is what's going to give it to us. Okay, push higher, and then can look to run lower into premium, or as we trade into premium. All right, so that's NU, same as AU. All right, UCAD. I don't think there's much on UCAD this week, guys. Hey, I still think we have room to go in terms of discounted pricing here on UCAD. I mean, you can see, if you're looking at the kind of the 4 hour, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So this is really our trading range, right? And I don't believe we're significantly discounted enough yet, right? So I think we can trade at least down kind of into this, see it on the lower time frames. There's a nice little demand here, right? So therefore, looking at this as a potential A, B, C, run higher. All right. So really for me, I want to get premium. That would be 61.8 into that 78.6. That would be my POI. Nice golden pocket. So if we can trade up into here, get a good buy to sell, and we can sell it on down into that negative 27 here, right? Or into this little pocket of demand. Okay, so let's treat it as 2700 as our targets, 2700, and then we'll look for accumulation to buy this thing higher time frame, right? Following this higher time frame trend, right? To the upside. All right, and that would fall into alignment with what we're looking at on the pairs we just discussed, right? Some potential short-term dollar strength, weakness, and then ultimately strength again, right? So vice versa on the EU and AU and NU, looking for that push lower, and the push higher, and then the ultimate push lower on those, right? So we're kind of getting these things in alignment in terms of kind of framework we're working with. All right, now on to some of these yen pairs. Okay, these are tricky, guys. These are tricky at the moment. All right, UJ obviously has been extremely bullish for quite some time, but we have traded into a POI that I've had drawn out for a while. You can see it over here. This up close, this supply. Okay, we have traded into that, and we did react from it very nicely. Right, very nicely, as you can see here. All right, so what makes this one somewhat tricky, right, is, okay, obviously momentum on the lower time frames is to the downside. We hit this objective, right? We've taken out short-term demand here, right? And so what's tricky, what comes into question is, have we discounted ourselves enough, right? Can we have another leg lower, right, and still maintain the structure on the higher time frames, right? The bullish structure, higher low, higher high, potentially one more drive lower before the continuation, right? Or do we look at this as simply a liquidity run here, and then we're just going to push higher, right? It's almost like we're kind of stuck at the moment, right? And so in that case, right, we just have to be able to react and adapt, right? I can make a case for either way. I can make a case that we're just simply going to make that higher high on the higher time frames. I could also make a case, okay, for another leg lower, trading deeper into discount, coming into 128, right? 128, one more leg, and then push higher. All right. So for me, I kind of want to see what happens as price. Okay. First and foremost, this was my initial POI that we've kind of reacted from now, right? And then I have my kind of secondary POI in here, right? So we're gonna wait and see, right? Are we gonna get some type of lower time frame buy to sell, right? And then take it on the pullback lower, London session? Are we gonna push a little bit higher into this POI, buy to sell, right? And then push lower? Or, this is why we're not gonna place limits, okay? We wanna wait and see. Are we gonna bust through supply? Right, in that case, we can certainly then look for kind of pullbacks to continue higher. Right, but I think we're fully accounted for up until this point. Right, so if we really bust through this lower high here that we're looking at, then I think we can run higher. Right, so we really need to wait, see what happens. London, New York session tomorrow in POI1 or POI2 to kind of make a proper judgment on this. All right. And the same really goes across the board for these yen pairs. All right, Euro JPY, same kind of deal. Same kind of deal. Obviously, been extremely bullish. All right, we had this last significant sell-off down close into this previous high here, which traded into a supply here, which ultimately failed. So we traded into that, produced the new high, higher high. All right, and we just traded down into this kind of last point of return here. Right? So again, the question remains, okay, this bearish trend, is this going to stop here now that we've traded into this potential higher low and simply push higher? Very well could be. Very well could be the case. Or you could also make a case for, okay, we have one drive, pullback, two drive. Could we have potentially one more drive further into discount, okay, maintain this higher time frame structure, and then ultimately push higher again? Okay, I could make a case for that as well. Something like head, shoulder, right? Head, shoulder, fake out, right? Fake out, get retail traders thinking that we're going completely short, and then smash them, right? So again, very, very tricky, which is why I'm going to wait and see how price does react kind of at this POI here. 138.14 is where my POI is, right? So this will be very interesting. I guess you could call this a secondary POI as well, up here, right? But we're just kind of stuck at the moment in terms of what we're doing on these yen pairs. All right, because we did run the equal lows here, traded into this last point of return, having a significant reaction, right? So it's almost as if I could see this, these yen pairs just simply making a massive push higher now, right? But I'm really not going to rule out, okay, the one drive, two drive, three drive, either from here or from here into the low. Okay, I'm not going to rule that out either. All right, so we'll just wait and see. Time and price, again, is everything. Okay, so we're going to wait and zoom in on the lower time frames when price reaches these POIs, right, to be able to make an accurate decision. Chef JPY is, again, same deal. Significantly bullish, right? We have traded into this POI that I talked about, I believe, last Sunday. Traded into that to the T, beautiful reaction, right? But the lower time frame structure is now bearish, lower low, lower high, lower low. So could we make one more run? Yes, we could. Okay, either from this POI here or from this inefficiency in here. Yes, we can make one more run, still maintain this structure here, get deeper discount before we go. Yes, we can, right? But we can also very easily just push now. Okay, so it's a bit of a predicament, as hopefully you're kind of getting my point here on these yen pairs. They're in a very tricky spot at the moment, right? So I'd kind of sit on my hands on those yen pairs until we get some further clarity in terms of what we're doing. All right. Euro GBP, this one is more clear than kind of the yen pairs, following the structure: lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. All right, so just looking to continue with the trend at the moment, especially now because we have what? Very, very clean equal lows, which I believe will be the draw on liquidity. All right, so this is really my kind of POI on EG. POI 1, where we consolidate, right, kind of pause in the market and then significant influx of liquidity, right? So looking to rebalance that, all right? Or then POI2 is obviously going to be the extreme up in here, right? Maintaining the structure, the lower high, lower low, right? POI1, POI2, right? You can pull a fib for extension targets. So this will be the objective, right? That negative 27. All right, simple, straightforward, I believe, on EG. Euro NZD, right? This one has really been just trickling down for quite some time, right? Trickling down. And if we're thinking about what's happening on NZD USD, where we could see a push lower on that pair before a push higher, we could expect the same on this one, a push higher and then a push lower, because this often follows kind of what the NZD is doing. All right, and so I think that this one can dig deeper into discount, at least down into this daily down close candle in here. All right, so I'd like to target that. We have now run liquidity on the lower time frames. All right, you can see this trend line that formed here. We ran it, sell to buy. All right, so I'd really like to see price trade up into the supply, whereby I'll be looking for distribution on the lower time frames for shorting opportunities. All right, but you could potentially get a sweep here, right, and get a buying opportunity up into here. Okay, running out all this liquidity. All right, whereby we'll be looking for our buy to sell. Okay, down into higher time frame objective. All right, so that's Euro NZD. Euro CAD, really nothing much on this one in terms of a good looking POI, but I do like the fact that we have pretty clean equal lows here. So these will get run, it's just a matter of when, right? And like I said, don't have very much of a clean POI. I mean, we have relative equal highs here, right? So on EuroCAD, I'd really just be looking for London session or New York session kind of buy to sells. All right, look for the buy to sell, the manipulation push higher on buy side, and then once that buy side objective is met, I think the next objective will be to attack the sell side here. All right, coming into this potential H1 up close candle here. All right. That would make sense to me. So look for the buy to sell on EuroCAD, kind of similar to GBP CAD. We have the equal lows here. We have our POI here. We also have another POI here that I believe I talked about last week as well. So really same deal here on GCAD, right? Kind of looking for the buy to sell, right? It's got to happen London Open between 2 and 4 a.m. Eastern time, or kind of 7 to 9:30 for New York. Right? It's got to happen within very specific time frames, windows of time. We go in depth on this in our courses, which if you're interested in taking, feel free to head over to our website, www.aerialfxtrading.com. Book a free call with either Nate or me. And we'll be happy to explain the program, all-inclusive package that we're offering to really help our students go from A to Z and becoming fully funded six-figure traders. We hold nothing back in what we share, right? So super powerful program, already seeing a lot of success, results from our students. So if you want to learn more about this, if you enjoy how we break down these charts week in, week out, and oftentimes call things to perfection, all you got to do is go back and watch prior episodes, and see how the things played out that we projected, right? We're not perfect. We don't have crystal balls, guys, but we certainly have experience, a significant degree of experience, which helps us to kind of foresee what is likely to happen in the markets week in and week out, day in, day out. All right, so GCAD, we have the equal lows here. We have the draw on liquidity prior to demand here or demand here. right? So we really want to see a buy to sell, probably into this wick, if I'm being honest, okay, or potentially up into here, right? Want to see that buy to sell, and then we'll take it on the pullback into equal lows, into demand, right? Then we'll be looking for accumulation either in this POI, sell to buy, right? Or slightly lower into this POI, sell to buy. Continue higher, whereby I think we can trade up into further premium, right? Up into here, 5,900, right? Still within pretty much discount. We looks like we did reach equilibrium here, but I want to see us push higher if we're going to see another push lower. All right. So that's GBP CAD and Euro CAD, very similar setups with nice pools of liquidity on the sell side. CAD CHF, guys, beautiful trade from last week, still in effect, ultimately targeting the lowest low of this trend line. Very, very simple, right? We were simply following, okay, the mitigation train. Mitigate, 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 continue, right? So be on the lookout for buy to sells on this one. Look for excuses to sell CAD CHF. Could just spill over here, honestly, to start the week. Down into ultimately this low, and 73285 is my ultimate target here. Right, but congrats if you caught this. Almost 100% positive I gave this level out to you guys last week on this episode as well. All right, so nice looking trade there. Final one for this episode, guys, GBP CHF. Looking for more downside, kind of very similar to CAD CHF. Really looking for downside on this one. I think if we can get up into premium here where we ran out, we had that buy to sell running out these highs, even this high in here, right? So nice buy to sell, break a structure. I think if we can get up into either this low here or this low here, London session, right? Running out short-term liquidity. If we can get that, right, into premium, I'd like to see continuations lower. Okay, just targeting this low. That would be what makes sense to me, right? Break of this trend, right? Let's get our discount or our premium and continuation. All right, simple, straightforward stuff, guys. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please make sure you mark off these levels and utilize time and price. Again, if you don't know much about it, it's really my main confluence when trading. So feel free to message us on Telegram at ArielFX Trading or head over to our website, arielfxtrading.com, and book that call. Right? Book that call, and we'll come up with a custom solution for you to really help you meet your goals and objectives in trading. All right, hope you have a great week, safe trading, and we'll talk to you next time.